Hey guys, Krootman here, with some more Battlemage content. So after my review, I took a break to enjoy the holidays and get ready for CES 2025. But before I head to Vegas to cover all the latest and greatest in PC tech, I wanted to spend a little more time with the Arc B580. But this time, I wanted to push it pretty hard and just see how this budget offering from Intel can handle the most demanding games, like the latest Indiana Jones title, which overnight became one of my favorite games to play and will have a permanent home on my benchmarking suite, along with Alan Wake 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. Basically, three of the highest end games that I can think of to really push this GPU and see what it can do and how good its RT cores really are. And also kind of highlight why 12 gigs of VRAM is the minimum that should be considered in any GPU in 2025 going forward. So here's my test bench with the B580. It's got an AM4 socket. It's a 5600X CPU paired with 16 gigs of 2400 megahertz DDR4 RAM, basically what I think you'd pair this GPU with. And then you can see my other test bench, and this is what I'm using to power the capture card because you guys wanted in-game footage and I'm going to give it to you. And that's my 1440p monitor, my Gigabyte M27Q. Alright, so let's start off with Cyberpunk. You can see I'm playing 1440p XeSS on quality. There's no way you can run this game without ray tracing or without upscaling if you want ray tracing, which is more than fine because it's optimized for XeSS. And you can see that I put us basically in the heart of downtown Night City with high crowd density, so it gives you that immersive effect that you're there. And look at the crowd density, look at the reflections, look at the lights. This game is beautiful. And look how well we're handling it. We're getting between 50 to 60 FPS, which is great. I didn't notice any lag or issues. You can see right here. And you'll notice the VRAM, we're definitely using over the 8 gigabytes of VRAM. We're pushing 9, sometimes close to 10, which shows you that you really can't play any games like Cyberpunk quality and have enough VRAM if you have an 8 gig card or less, which is kind of depressing. But one of the things that Intel's done great with 12 gigs. And you can see how I, kind of got the crowd stirred up to get a lot of action going. And we're still hitting a respectable 50-ish FPS. So Cyberpunk did great, and the Intel Arc B580 plays this game fantastic. So this is a huge win for Intel because this is one of the most demanding games out there. Alright, the next game is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I cannot spend enough time heaping praise on this game. I'm going to do a review on it down the line, but this game is revolutionary if you ask me. The way it implements ray tracing and lighting effects game-wide, it's incredible, and I wish more developers would do this. Now, as you can see on the settings, this thing is going to beat up any GPU it runs, but that's totally for another conversation. I did want to say that I set this on medium because I did not want to use ray tracing. I wanted to experience this game in all its glory. I mean, look at that lighting, guys. That is not pre-rendered ray tracing. That is real time. I mean, you saw it. Like, I just can't begin to tell you how incredibly beautiful this game looks. And as you can see, we're getting between 40 and 50 FPS, but this game is taking a beating. And if you look at the VRAM, we're using a lot of it. I mean, we're using almost 10 gigs of VRAM here regularly, and it's worth it though. Like, if you can see the text, you can see the detail on everything. I mean, look at that text on that paper. I know I won't be able to do it justice showing you these screenshots, but I really just wanted to show you this. I mean, look at the light. Look at the way the shadows are cast. I totally understand why this game has the requirements it has and why you basically must play it on ray tracing. With ray tracing on, I mean. This game basically is one of the best tests you could use for Intel's ray tracing cores, and I must say it passes with flying colors. I literally played this game for like 4 hours on the B580 before I lost track of time. I mean, look at these shadows, guys. Real-time shadow generation. So beautiful. I even cracked the whip a few times and I'm about to get myself killed because I just wanted to show you how incredible that looks. So I can't speak highly enough of Indiana Jones. Huge win for Intel, in my opinion. The B580 crushes this game, and it passed with flying colors. Okay, so here's our final game, Alan Wake 2. Now, I do want to note that there is no XeSS upscaling. It was either FSR or nothing, because you can't use DLSS. I run my settings between medium and high, and I do want to say that I tried running this without upscaling, and you get like 10, 12 FPS. It's not runnable if you have FPS and ray tracing. So you'll notice here, we're getting like between 35 to 39 FPS, but it's not the smoothest experience. Now, this brings me up to a point I had in Helldivers 2, where I think if you're not running XeSS and you have to run either FSR or whatever the in-game upscaling is, you kind of notice a performance degradation, I guess should say. It doesn't perform as well. I like this area in Alan Wake because I think it's very demanding, but it wasn't the smoothest. I definitely noticed some stuttering, and you know, I could drop the upscaling down even more, but when I was already at quality and I didn't really want to go to performance. It still looks nice, but you know, you can definitely tell that it didn't run perfectly is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like if Alan Wake had XeSS, that maybe we wouldn't have these issues. So it's not like a total loss because this game is definitely playable, but you definitely notice the issues. Like this isn't a knock, I think, against Intel's ray tracing cores, as it's more of an issue with the lack of upscaling. And sure, you can play this with ray tracing off, but I feel like that takes away half the fun. So this isn't like a win for Intel, but it's not a loss either. It's okay. Alright guys, so I hope that video helped give you an idea of how well you can play high-end games on the Arc B580. It doesn't get much more high-end or AAA than Indiana Jones, Cyberpunk 2077, and Alan Wake. Now maybe I could have tested Black Myth Wukong, but I feel like these three give enough of a spread, and I bought Indiana Jones for this video, and I'm not trying to buy two games for one video, and I feel like you got the gist. So overall, Indiana Jones was fantastic. I'm going to do another video on that game because it's game-changing. Cyberpunk was fantastic. Both fantastic examples of how great the RT cores are on the Arc B580 and how well it does with either XeSS on or XeSS off. Now, you know, Alan Wake was not as good, obviously, but like I said, I think that's attributed to a lack of upscaling, you know, Intel's XeSS upscaling. As it doesn't seem like it did too well with FSR. But also, Alan Wake 2 was a very demanding game. And, you know, we got to remember, this is only a $280 GPU. So just to do okay and maybe have to disable RT or raise upscaling a little higher, that's not a bad thing. So overall, this GPU is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. You know, my only the only negative I could say is I wish that more games had XeSS implementation. And this is coming from a guy that's not huge into upscaling, as you can see in Indiana Jones. But I don't mind using it on a $280 GPU. And finally, I do want to note that the 12 gigs of VRAM seems perfect for this card. At the most high-end games, it was only using about 9 to 10, which means you have a little bit more to go. So the Arc B580 should age well. And if you buy this for, 1440p average gameplay or 1080p high gameplay, you should have no issues with this thing for years to come. Not the final piece of content on the B580, but I'll be heading to CES, so, we're going to shift over to the other companies in a few days. But I want to say that Intel really, really set the bar high. And let's see what AMD and NVIDIA do to match this incredibly amazing GPU. So that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Make sure you hang out next week to see what I have for CES. I'm going to have a lot of great coverage coming up, so I can't wait to share it with you guys. See you on the next one. Peace out.